All right, I am live. Let me just fix my screen here. All right, ninjas, this is our Get to Know a Ninja live broadcast. Get to Know a Ninja live. We're going to be testing out this new way of just getting to know the entire team. I will be doing interviews with your favorite coaches so you can get to know them. If you are watching this live, you can actually type in some questions in the chat box, and I will answer them to the best of my abilities, off the cuff, off on the fly. Not too much thought-provoking stuff. It's still early. I'm still needing my coffee right now, so I just finished a workout. All right, so for those that don't know me, a little bit about myself. My name is Joe, legal name Joseph Shung. But if anybody calls me that, I feel like I'm in trouble because like normally it's my mom that calls me by my full name. So Joe is fine. I am the founder, CEO of Fight Fitness. This place that's empty right now, but it's normally filled with a ton of people. And I started this business. It's probably going on about 8 to 9 years probably right now. 9 years ago, started with um, with me wanting with my love of kickboxing and fitness all combined into one. And that's how it started. That's how Fight Fitness really started. So I'll take you back to my story about how I actually started this, and you guys could comment or ask any questions as you go along. So growing up, I grew up watching WWF, and like most young kids, I took a liking to the size that some of these wrestlers had. And I remember when I was young, and I really wanted to. I think I was probably like 8 years old, and I started first training. I took a dowel, like a mop dowel, and I stuck two vinegar bottles on the handles, and I started doing curls with it, which is pretty funny because you could do that now. So with little access to equipment, and I tried to do things to help build up my strength, build up my muscles, like these guys in the WWF, or back then it was the WWF, now it's the WWE. Uh, Fast forward, university, did my undergrad in kinesiology, health science. With my love of health and fitness, I decided to go that route with education. And at that time in university is when I fell in love with Muay Thai kickboxing. Oh, thanks, Katie. Um, Muay Thai kickboxing was my sport of choice, and I loved it. Like, it was the one thing that I could let off all this extra aggression, all this extra testosterone that I had. And because I fell in love with it, I had it in my mind that I wanted to be a pro fighter at one point in my life. I wanted to fight, and that's all I cared about. Not Parents weren't probably the happiest about that, but I'd be like the first one in the gym, last one leaving the gym, and I just loved it. It was something that I don't I don't know what it is about getting hit in the head, but I love doing it. And um, quick story about that is. When you do fights in like an amateur level, you got to get blood work done, and typical blood work that I did came back and it said I had hepatitis C. If you guys don't know what hepatitis C is, it's kind of like a virus, almost like HIV, that attacks your liver, and pretty much it's really highly contagious because you can get it from other people. And so right then and there, I couldn't fight. There was no, and I had to stop. I didn't really tell anybody at this point. My girlfriend, now my wife, knew about it at the time. My family knew about it, but not many people knew about it. And the one thing I love doing so much, I could not do anymore, and it was heartbreaking. It took a few months to get over the fact that I couldn't fight. And my doctor said to me, you know what, Joe, if you live a healthy life, if you eat healthy, if you exercise, and you do the right thing, you could live a long life. And there's treatment and everything like that, but the treatment's kind of like chemo, where it kills all your cells in order for you to get rid of the virus. So I started reaching out to holistic nutritionists, naturopaths, I started seeking alternative medicines, different things to broaden my horizon of what I thought health and fitness was, which at that point, I only thought it was like go, 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 push-ups, squats, all activity. And then there's this whole other realm of fitness and health, from naturopathic medicine, homeopathic medicine, and all those different types of modalities that give you a more holistic um, picture of what health is. So I sought all that, and I think the one thing that gave me comfort throughout that whole entire process was knowledge. Knowledge armed me and made me feel better. It made me feel like I had control of my health and had control of my fitness. And I did a 180. Instead of going the hard route, like, because when you're training, you're not really healthy. You would lose all this weight for a fight and then gain all the weight, eat like crap, but you're burning tons of calories. So went that route. Fast forward this 6 months, had a specialist, Toronto General, specialist that dealt with liver diseases, did my blood work again. And he said, come back in 3 months when we get the results, and gets the blood work back, comes back. It was a false positive. They freaking made a mistake on my blood work, which was infuriating at first. That's Canadian healthcare for you. No, I'm just kidding. Canadian healthcare is great, but it's my American friends that make that joke that that's Canadian healthcare because it's free, but it's not. It's Canadian healthcare is great. Yeah, at least we can walk in there and get all this treatment for free. But it was a blessing because that whole time I kind of did a 180 shift towards more health and fitness, and that's how that's how we created this whole program, which not includes the fitness element with the fitness kickboxing, but also nutrition, also things like mindset, really big into that, really into supplementation to make sure your health is optimal, sleep, all those different things that you don't really think about when it comes to losing weight. So that's my story of how I kind of entered the health field. And I would say that would be my biggest fail forward. That's one of the questions that we asked is like, what's my biggest fail forward? I wouldn't say it's a failure, but I had to stop doing what I thought was the direction I wanted and shift completely and pivot. Kind of like how we're doing now with the whole COVID-19 thing, how we were going in one direction and now we've had to move to the other. That's life. That's life, guys. And it's going to happen. And that's what helps you grow. And that's how it makes you better. All right. So I would have to say would be one of my biggest fail forwards, but my biggest aha moment kind of came to me about probably 5 to 6 years ago. And it really dawned on me that really, like, a lot of the people that are really successful, as I started working with clients and I seen the ones that are really successful in losing a ton of weight and getting into shape, is that they made a lot of the things that all the different tactics. What's up, Michael? What's going on? They made a lot of these tactics that we talk about, like sleep, water, nutrition. They made it all into habits. And habits are what actually give you freedom, right? Because then you don't have to think about it. You don't have to use processing power to always think, oh, what do I got to do? Do I got to drink water? Do I need prompts? I mean, you start off by setting triggers and different things, but eventually things become habits, like, oh, I got to drink water every once in a while. That was probably one of my biggest aha moments. And it's one of the quotes that is plastered on the wall here that success isn't an act, it is a habit. And habits and structure will set you free and give you freedom. It's not always going to go as planned, like, because that's life, but habits and structure in your life is going to give you freedom. That was one of my biggest aha moments. What do I do to stay healthy? If you guys want to know about my workout routines, I'm pretty much active pretty much 5-6 days a week. I'm actually active 7 days a week. Try to do something. I made a post about this in my Instagram. If you check it out, it's about NEAT. It's non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's a fancy way of saying activity. They're just basically being active. I'm talking about like going for walks, walking up a flight of stairs, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. All these little things really contribute to extra caloric burn, which in turn most people want, which is fat burning. So making sure that you're active, making sure that you are getting in extra activity. My workouts consist of at least 4 days a week of heavy lifting, because I'm trying to put on a little bit of size to be a little bit stronger. Basic movements, use a lot of barbell work. Low rep, high rep, mix it up a little bit of plyometrics. Really, it's a little bit of everything right now because I'm just trying to maintain my current strength level. But it's in seasons. My fitness is and my workout routines changes based on the season. So if my season is to gain weight, I change it up. If my goal is to lose weight, I change it up as well. And that's why it's important to have a coach to help you, give you those different prompts and different types of ways that you can change your training routines. For most people, really, it's just if you just moved, if you just stayed active, you're gonna get a ton of benefit. So that's my routine. Nutrition wise, I stick to a pretty high protein diet. I make sure I try to hit, like right now, I'm a little bit more lenient with my nutrition. I try to hit my protein targets, which is probably the most important thing so that I maintain my muscle mass. Lots of veggies with every single meal, and I eat carbs. I don't do any of that keto stuff or intermittent fasting. And here's my riff about that. I hear a lot of people like, and because I talk to a lot of clients that say, "Oh, I tried keto. Oh, I tried it. Oh, intermittent fasting really worked for me," or I don't know, paleo or something. Whatever diet it is, like they all do the same thing, which is calories in versus calories out. Like it's nothing magic. Like well, they say that about everything, but it's very simple. It's like you do more activity than you ingest, and that's how you create a calorie deficit and you lose weight. When you do keto, guess what? Surprise, surprise. Yes, you're eating more fat, you eat more protein, but you're also at a calorie deficit, in which case you will lose weight. Ha! Surprise, surprise. Intermittent fasting. Yes, nutrient timing. You're timing the eating cycles in between a certain amount of time, but at the end of the day, you are at a calorie deficit because you're only eating a certain amount of time. So a lot of people are super dogmatic about what they do, but the most important thing is probably finding an eating style for you that you can do forever. And that's how you do lifelong, lasting fitness and health, right? You can eat a little bit of carbs, you can eat a little bit of this, you can eat a little bit of those cheat meals, and make sure you can still hit your goals. And that's where a coach is very valuable. So that's what my workouts and nutrition is like. My daily routine, that's one of the questions, what my daily routine looks like. It's kind of all over the place, but usually on a normal day, I like to, this quarter, my goal was to join the 5 a.m. club, was to wake up 5 a.m. every single day. Didn't work out that well this quarter, but um, try to get up early as possible before everybody. I just like a quiet household just to be in my own headspace. I weigh in actually. I step on the scale every day myself too because I actually really like knowing that measurement every single day. So I step on the scale, know where I'm at. If I ate crappy the day before, I could see it on the scale. And this is how I actually am very intuitive. Last month, if you're on my email list, I made a bunch of posts about intuitive eating and why it's important to know your body and how that's going to help you long term. I'm very intuitive with what I eat and how it's going to reflect in my body. It's because I weigh myself and measure myself. And this is the same thing with everything, right? Having a measurement that you look at daily. So I weigh myself every single day to know where that's at. Get up, prep breakfast, make breakfast, look at my schedule, plan for the day. I got kids. I got 2 kids, so they're probably up by now. My son actually wakes up first, so he actually sometimes helps me make breakfast. My daughter's still sleeping, wife's still sleeping, but me and him get up. He sometimes makes breakfast, and then I start my day. Right now the craziness of the day goes on, and then at night I unwind, play on the phone a little bit, try to get to sleep at a decent time, and just do it all over again. That's my day. What 3 books am I reading right now? Oh, that's a good question. All right. Here's my secret. I read a ton of books every single day. And I use this app called Blinkist. Oh, I like that question. All right, I'm going to answer that in a second. I use this app called Blinkist. And Blinkist is an app that gives me blinks of books so that I don't have to read entire books. It's a really cool app. It gives me summaries of the books so I can just get the idea of it. If I like it, I will buy the book and read the whole thing when I have time. But I generally go through a couple books all the time. And there's actually 3 very specific ones that I recommend my entire team, and I brought it. Number 1, it's How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is required reading for all of the coaches. Um, Dale Carnegie. It's a classic. This one is a new version. This one's new, brand new. I keep a copy of it because I give it to any new team members. Very important principles in this, because if you want to help people, most of the time they got to like you. Because if they don't like you, they don't trust you and they don't love you and they won't do the thing that you want them to do. So as a good coach, most good coaches are likable. And getting people to like you is a skill and it's an art. And this book has changed my life on how to get friends and influence people. And I hope I have more friends. But so because of this book, oh, here, it's gonna be like reading with Joe. I'll read some excerpts from this. Um, you know what? I'm not gonna read excerpts. I'm just gonna go to the next book. Book number 2. This is one of the copies. This is actually 7 Habits of Effective Families, but I have a 7 Habits of Effective People, which is the original. This is an offshoot of it just to develop effective habits with your family. This is required reading too. 7 Habits, Stephen Covey. It's a classic. So 7 Habits of Effective People. There are 7 habits that make effective people. Highly recommend this book if you haven't read it. Really good one. And this one, Switch, is one of my required. So these top 3 books, Switch, this is a excellent book when it comes to understanding behavior change in people, which is what we do. What I do as a coach is that I'm a behavior change specialist, and all us coaches are behavior change specialists, because we have to take the behavior that you were doing before that was getting you fat and that was getting you unhealthy, and switch it to good behaviors that are as good for you, that is going to give you more energy. It's going to get you feeling better, and get you fitting into the clothes that you want. And this book is a really effective one. It talks about the, a real quick excerpt from this: the rider, the elephant, and the path. Making sure that we have to influence all 3 of those things. I'm not going to talk about too much. If you have a chance, those are my top 3 books you should be reading. It's always on my reading list. Okay, I'm going to answer this question over here. What would you tell your son if he wanted to follow in your footsteps and get into the fitness industry? All right. I would tell him, if you want to be rich, son, the fitness industry isn't one to get into. I'm just kidding. Honestly, it's a really passion industry. It's like you have to love it. Like it's got to be in your blood, day in and day out. You got to wake up and you got to wake up, live and breathe this stuff. If I'm not working out myself, or if I'm not training clients, I'm reading up on fitness. I'm watching stuff about fitness. Like it's literally that one job that can be a hobby and could be your occupation at the same time. Like I'm always looking into research papers on ways to train effectively myself, because I know how much fitness has influenced and changed my life. It's they call it gateway drugs. This is like a gateway activity to opening up so much more realms in your life and changing so many different things. So if he wants to get into the fitness industry, make sure he's got a love for it, because it's not an easy industry to get into. When you start off in the fitness industry, you are doing long hours. You are working from 5 a.m. all the way to 8 p.m. at night, because guess what? People only train when they're not at work. So for the most part, it's 5 a.m. starts, and then you're going to go the morning before people go to work. You got a huge break in the middle of the day, and then you got the evening block. And most trainers go through this grind for the first few years. I know I did. And that's why, like, we structured the way Fight Fit, we structured things differently for Fight Fit, for the team and everything, so that we can have set schedules for everybody, so that they don't have to go through that grind. But you got to love it, and you have to live and breathe fitness. And you got to, and here's my big thing: you got to lead by example. That's my biggest thing. If you're a fitness coach and you're not in shape, and anybody that wants to be a fitness coach, if you're not in shape, you got to be in shape. You got to lead by example when it comes to this, and you got to be the example your clients look up to, because you are their example, and you are the role model that they aspire to be. So you got to live and breathe it. That's what I would tell him. If he can live and breathe it, and if he can really fulfill on that and be the leader that his clients need him to be, then yes, by all means, get into the industry and start influencing, impacting lives, and changing lives. The next question: what do you wish you had done sooner, and why? In business and in health. That's a good one. This is the one thing I would have done sooner, is that I would have gotten a coach, a mentor, something way sooner. I would have gotten a mentor earlier on in the process. I'm on Instagram right now, so I got somebody else on this as well. But I would have got a mentor. I would have gotten someone to help coach me along earlier and give me outside set of eyes. Who's this? Vino? What's going on? I would have got a mentor, an outside set of eyes looking into something that I would want to improve on, whether it be fitness, business, health, whatever, finance. It's just having outside set of eyes gives you a different perspective, because you only see, you only know what you know, and you don't know anything outside of that, unless somebody comes in and gives you new perspectives and a paradigm shift. So that's one thing I would have done sooner, is really look for mentors and really look for coaches and people that know more than me, experts in their field. So that's one thing I wish I would have done sooner, and why. Oh, I like this one. This next question is about Kung Fu movies. I asked this team a lot about. I used to run we still do. We run the Fight Fitness coaching academy, and one of the questions I ask in the beginning of the course is, what is your favorite Kung Fu movie and why? All right, this is my favorite Kung Fu movie. If you haven't had a chance to watch this, this is the 36th Chamber of Shaolin. I watch this thing like every single day. You know, it's funny. Back in the day when you had VHSs, and there's only a certain amount of videos that you watch the same thing. Now you have Netflix, you don't even know what to watch. Sometimes I'm scrolling through Netflix for like good 15 minutes trying to figure out what to watch. But back in the day when you only had VHS tapes and there's only a certain amount, you pick the ones that you like, and this is the one that I always pick, the 36th Chamber of Shaolin. I'll give you the quick synopsis on this movie. So guy gets beat up. He finds a Shaolin monastery, and he sucks at fighting, and he has to go through 35 different chambers that have different tasks and skills that he's got to develop. And it's that whole like training montage where he sucks, and he's got to get better and better, and he goes through each one and he starts getting super good, and he's the fastest rising student because everyone would be sleeping, but he'd be the one practicing. And it's like, I believe everybody's life is like, if you could pick a kung fu or like a training montage, that would be your life. Fast forward, I feel like that's my life, is that like the people that get the best success are the ones that put in the most hours. And so this guy gets so good that at the very end, the Shaolin the monks are like, hey, you got so good, you got through this whole thing. What chamber do you want to create? And he goes and creates one that he's like, I want to teach everybody Shaolin Kung Fu. And the guys are like, you can't do that. That's our secret. And he's like, screw you guys, I'm leaving. He leaves the monastery. He goes back, avenges, whoever his family, and then he becomes like this badass Shaolin monk. My favorite Kung Fu movie of all time, 36 Chamber of Shaolin. Everybody's got a Kung Fu movie. That's their life. I believe that. What is the one quote that gets you fired up and why? This is a good question. The one quote that gets me fired up and why is the one I talked about earlier, that success is not an act, it is a habit. So developing good habits is how you develop a successful life. That's my one quote that I always go back to and revert back to move me forward. What is the one best way to reach me or get at me? You know what? If you have any other questions, best way to reach me, obviously Facebook or Instagram or Joe Fight Fit, anywhere. Get at me. Lightning round, guys. This is the lightning round. Fast questions, fast-paced questions that I'm going to fire through. Number one, are you a morning or evening person? I used to be an evening person, a late morning person. Now I'm changing it to a morning person. Number two, what's my favorite physical activity? Guess what? Lifting weights. So that's my favorite physical activity. 3, fiction or nonfiction? Definitely nonfiction. Definitely nonfiction. Number 4, what was the last book I read? Ooh, what was the last book I read? The last book I remember reading was The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. Mark Manson. Really good book. I read that on my last vacation. I read the whole thing cover to cover on my I got some participation. How did I get into martial arts? Did I compete? Yes, I did. If you missed my whole synopsis in the very beginning, I got into martial arts with Muay Thai kickboxing. That was my background. Did I compete? Yes, I fought a couple times in the amateur level. One of my favorite fights was actually in a club in London. It was funniest thing. Like everybody was hammered and drunk, so the crowd was going crazy, and I felt like I was like, in a pro fight or whatever, but yeah, I did fight, competed, still small little fights. Thank you for that question. What is the one book you want to read? I don't really have any. There's not many books. If I had a book, I would read it if I just see if it's interesting. How do I measure success? Oh, good one. So success, like I do this with the team. It is called the wheel of life. Everybody has a different measure of success. So real quick, I'll go through this one. Different areas of life, finance, we're talking career, your physical health, all these different areas of your life, and you rate it on what you feel is fulfilled on it based on your criteria of what fulfillment is, and that's how you measure success. And I do this quarterly, yearly, and it's just a good way to determine and put a number on where I'm at in terms of success in different areas of my life. If you guys are interested, get at me. I can send you that wheel of life exercise. What is the one mistake that you made earlier on? Ooh, one mistake that I made earlier on, huh? One mistake. I would have gotten mentors sooner. I talked about this. The one thing I wish I'd done sooner is get mentors. Find mentors, because outside set of eyes, those are what's going to help you. Craig Ballantyne, if you guys don't follow that guy, he's great. He's a fellow Canadian. He talks a lot about this at outside set of eyes, getting a coach, getting a mentor. Can you put the name of the books again, please? Oh, yes, they are. Switch. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, not the families. The family ones is great too. And How to Win Friends and Influence Others People. How to win friends and influence people. Great question. Send me the wheel of life. I will. What's the tough thing about my job? I'll tell you what the toughest thing is controlling emotions. By far, that is the most important thing. That is the toughest thing about my position, is that I have to be able to think objectively at all times about different things that are happening in the business, no matter how my emotions feel. That is by far the hardest thing, is controlling those emotions. And it wasn't easy. When I first started, I made a lot of emotional decisions and made a lot of bad decisions because I was emotional. But it's controlling those emotions, thinking rationally through it, objectively, looking at the actual stats instead of thinking there is gut feeling involved, but controlling those emotions is by far the toughest thing. What is my proudest accomplishment? Is my kids. I gotta say, my kids are my proudest accomplishment. That is by far the biggest shift I've made. They've changed my life drastically. Great question. So I'm curious about how you went from competing to owning a business and being successful. Can you tell us a little bit more about the transition? I honestly, it's like literally the same thing. I feel like if you compete in a sport, like the fight game, if you've ever been in a fight, it goes by like this, like super fast. Like I think my last fight was like 3 2-minute rounds, like 6-minute totals with 1 minute break in between, and it felt like 1 minute. And that's what people see, but they don't see like the hours and the hours that you put into the back. And that's the grind. That's the business grind. I think like it's the same thing in every single sport, whether it's like, a sprint, Usain Bolt, like the guy runs it in under 10 seconds, but nobody sees how much hours he puts into training. And that is the whole idea of being a ninja, guys. A ninja, they look like they do cool shit. You could see them doing flips and doing all their cool kung fu moves and jump kicks and everything. But what you don't realize is that they practice that stuff thousands and thousands of times to make it look seamless and make them look like ninjas. So if you ever wondered why we call everybody ninjas, is because our gym is the dojo. This is where the training happens. The hard stuff happens. And life is when you do cool shit. When you can go out and you can pick something up, you go grocery shopping and stuff's easy. It's when you could play with your kids all afternoon and it's easy. And people are like, how do you have that kind of energy? Well, I put in the hours and I work out, right? That's the whole idea of being a ninja, is like they see you, people see the cool stuff, but really it's the hours and hours of training. Love that question. Thank you for that. What do you eat or drink before a morning workout? I actually don't eat that much. It depends on what I'm doing, really. If I'm eating, if I'm working out, if I'm lifting weights, if I'm lifting something heavy, I'll have something with a fast-acting carb, like a starch or like a little fruit with a little bit of protein after workout, post-workout smoothie. Make sure that there's protein in it. Make sure there's a little bit of carbs. Carbs aren't your enemy. I talked about this earlier. That carbs, you actually need carbs to help build your muscle. So make sure you have that, and just like, if you don't know, get some help. Right, making sure you're at calorie deficit. Track your foods. MyFitnessPal. Track your foods. If you need help, get at me. I hope that answers your question. What's another question? Gut instinct versus expertise. What's more important and why? Ooh, that's good. I think initially you're gonna do things by gut. Like your behaviors and how your knowledge that you've learned earlier on in your life are going to dictate which direction you go. And the most important thing is that you make a decision and you go with it, right? This can apply to fitness, it could apply to business, is that you go with it and you learn from those mistakes. And that's when expertise starts to happen, because the more failures you've had, I've had, like, in the last little bit as we've been pivoting, I've been repeating to myself this one thing. I've been continuously saying, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan. Because Michael Jordan said one thing. He says the reason why he's so successful with his shots that he's made and he scored more points is because he's missed more than anybody, right? And that's the key. It's like the more misses you make, the better you get. And then that gut instinct becomes expertise. So Michael Jordan. Who's your role model that guided you towards success? Oh man, there's been a lot. I can't even name them all, but tons of different business mentors and different people that I looked up to help me at different stages of my life. So tough one to answer. I wouldn't say there was a lot. Number 16. What's the most embarrassing thing that you're willing to admit? Ooh, most embarrassing thing I'm willing to admit, and I'm willing to admit. That's the important part. I'll give you guys one. I used to drink a lot, and I used to use alcohol as a way to calm my, I guess, to deal with all my issues when it came to like all the stresses, and I thought I could be able to get rid of all the things that are going on in my head through alcohol, and it's a common thing amongst guys that are like that are go all the time, is because you can't shut it off. And so I used to have to revert to alcohol in order to shut my mind off and not think about things. Like I'm willing to. That's the one thing that I think is, and that's a gateway to bad behaviors, because that lowers your ability to make good decisions. So it's a tough thing. It's a worse drug than anything. I say alcohol, but so if you have an alcohol problem, I can definitely relate with you, because it impacted my life in horrible ways. So yeah, that's one thing. That's an embarrassing thing. I wouldn't say embarrassing, but I learned from it and adjusted. Who gives you the best advice? This is a good one. Guess what? My wife does. My wife actually gives me really, really good advice when it comes to making better decisions. And she, I always joke. She jokes that if without her, without her good decision, she always has to remind me. And I always brush her off, saying, "No, it's not you. It's not you." But she does really give me good advice. And usually, the times that I've asked her for advice, and she's given me input, it's always led us in the right direction. All right, guys, I'm about 6 minutes over on this Get to Know a Ninja live show. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Our next one is happening at 7 o'clock, and I will be interviewing Coach Mark. Coach Mark, I'm going to be going through these questions. So have your questions ready if you want to join on this live. 7 o'clock Tuesday is the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for joining me on the Sunday morning, and enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Take care.